Now, 13 Galamsey miners have died at Gbane in the Talensi district of the Upper East region after a blast occurred underground. A survivor of the blast told us they had been warned of an impending blast from a neighboring mine operated by Talensi Mining Company Limited. He said, however, many of the Galamsey miners, numbering up to about 500, ignored the warning because they felt that the blast was going to be as minor as previous blast had been. Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori has just returned from the Bolgatanga Hospital, where he witnessed the body of the 13th miner being wheeled to the mortuary about an hour ago. Albert joins me on the line with some more details. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Gifty.
But that's a very disturbing story there. What's the latest?
Yes, so we understand that another miner has died. I'm yet to confirm that from the hospital. But I left just about an hour ago, and the death toll at the time I was leaving was 13. A relative of some of the miners was just informing me less than 15 minutes ago that one more person has died, and there are two more who seem to be in very, in a very critical condition. And their fears are that the death toll could even rise to more than 14 as it stands. Now, I actually had to join some of the relatives of the deceased who had come to the mortuary at the Bolgatanga Hospital to try and identify bodies of their relatives. And I got to see the dead bodies for myself. At the time that we went into the mortuary, there were 12 bodies whom the mortuary attendant had been telling us were brought from that mine accident. So I saw 12 for myself. And just before I left the hospital, I saw some relatives of miners who had been hospitalized, who were trying to explain to me what was going on.
So you had a conversation with these survivors?
Yes.
And they told you that they had prior warning, but they did not listen to that warning? They did not heed?
Exactly. There were 9 people on admission in the one of the emergency wards of the hospital, and the doctors won't allow me to speak to all of them, but one of them was in a good condition to speak. He gave his name as Victor, and he told us that he, together with some others, I asked him how many he thought they were underground at the time, and he said they were up to 500 in his estimation, and that a security guard had been sent from the Talensi Mining Company to tell them there was going to be a blast. So those of them who were in that pit should leave.
So these are basically encroachers who are sort of encroaching on the Talensi concession.
Well, from what we understand, not all the pits there are owned by Talensi Mining. So Talensi Mining has their own pits, and there are some other pits that are usually, used by these Galamsey miners.
Okay.
So for now, I can't confirm if they were actually encroaching on Talensi property. But what we know is that usually when the blasts occur, those of them who have their pits around the Talensi mining get affected. And that is why, according to this miner, they were told to leave. And he said that sometimes the blast and smoke doesn't even get to where they are. So they thought that it was going to be minor.
Right.
Some of them left, and others, decided to stay back because they thought the blast was going to be minor.
So finally, Albert, has there been any response from the Talensi company?
Yes, we spoke to the PRO of Talensi Mining, Maxwell Woma, and he says that they only heard about the incident when the miners were brought to the hospital, and that they are not aware of these miners. They are not their staff, and as best as he can say, they were doing their own work. He couldn't tell at the time whether they actually carried out a blast, but this was before I actually spoke to the survivor. So the stories, we will have to collaborate them as the time goes on.
Certainly. Albert, thank you so much for that update. Albert Story is our Upper East Region correspondent there, bringing us up to speed on that rather unfortunate incident there. 13 miners, we understand, have died so far. Albert is saying that there could be more because at the time he was leaving, they were still bringing in some of the persons who were, there were about 500 of them, he says. We'll be keeping our eyes on that particular story to bring you the update.